Paul Maddo Kelemba is in the studio with us this morning. Again, Paul, how are you?
I'm fine. Morning.
Good morning. Karibu sana.
Asante, and I'm happy to be here now, this time not as a cartoonist.
What's the technical term for this thing we loosely refer to as cartoonist?
There are several.
Yes?
First of all, Charles, I'm a journalist.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Oh, yes, yeah. Oh, yes. Cartoonist, illustrator, satirist, humorist, caricaturist.
Yes.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Those are many ists, and I'm glad that you were able to do that because then, you've been able to tell us now who you are and what you do. You're wearing a different cap today. As we're having this conversation, we're in the throes of election season already. Things are getting hotter and hotter. There are many messages that are flying around. People are saying different things about different subjects. But you're saying something which we know you have said before in a different form. But today and into this season, you're saying something different. Kenya ni Yangu, promoting peaceful and secure elections. How are you saying this time?
Okay, let me establish this first. I'm associated to a sound studio. That's Gettable Music in Nairobi. We do music productions. And I've been associated with them for many years. Actually, many people don't know me in that role.
No.
Yeah, I'm a music enthusiast, and indeed I present a music show elsewhere. So we came together and told ourselves that, okay, this is one hell of a hot year. And what can we do, apart from everything else that I do? And we can make a small contribution towards peaceful elections through music. And as everybody knows, music is for all. It's a natural thing. It's appreciated by animals, birds. And there's music for everybody. There's music for love. There's music for
war.
Drumming up war, which is not a very good thing. I've been to places, by the way, where I've been received, not I myself, in a bunch of people, maybe it's probably an event. And if it's a wedding kind of party, then the music is nice and, swell. But I've been received elsewhere. Let me not mention that part of the country. And the reception was, that was a war dance, So, well, there's music for everybody. And specifically for our purposes, music for peace really prevails. Music can be used for everything. So we are using it as a tool for promoting peace. Especially this year in this country. And the best way to do it is obviously to come up with a nice melody and a beautiful message within it, to convince our audiences that, look, let's do everything right this year as it is.
Why this year?
There
was an election 5 years ago.
Yes.
There was one 5 years before that.
5 years earlier.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, that 5 years earlier, in 2012 to 2013, there's a musician called Samba Mapangala. He's Congolese. He was based in Nairobi for many years. He came up with he wrote a song called Chagua Chagua. It's available on YouTube. And he asked me to animate it, which I did. So I've been involved in these processes for quite some time. It's a beautiful song, though a little with a up-tempo kind of dance beat. But so sometimes it does.
Up-tempo now.
Yeah.
Up-tempo is what exactly?
You see, okay, we've talked about music for love, music for, drumming up war and so on. There's also music for dance. And it will always be up-tempo. Oh, yes, yeah. Okay, there's slower beats for, the blues, people call them. But there are songs specifically designed for dance. If you guys may remember the 70s and 80s disco songs, there are songs specifically designed for shaking
for you to jump around vigorously.
Yes, exactly. So
it's interesting because the songs that you remember that had that kind of beat, you also remember the words. So I'm thinking, so with the remembrance of the words, then there's a likelihood that you would remember the message.
Yes, exactly so.
Okay.
And actually, the so-called disco songs had very simple lines, baby, let's go out tonight. Everything's going to be all right.
Indeed.
With that kind of rhyme in it.
Right.
So they are very simple lines, and everybody will remember them.
Yes.
Everybody will sing along with them. That is actually was the what they intended for. But now a peace song, a song designed for peace, will have a deeper message. Yeah. We still intend to make you remember it. That's why there'll always be a chorus, and the chorus has to be simple enough. For example, this song that we've put out there has got a very simple chorus. Kenya ni yangu, tuko pamoja, But there are rappers involved, and probably so many people might not remember the rap expanse of rappers. But still, when you come back to the rallying chorus, one shall remember. Yes, you go away with it.
I'm still, harping on that. Why was it important? Why is it important then for you to use music to then spread this message of peace in Kenya at this time?
At this time. Music does transcend boundaries, tribal or otherwise, even political. The music of someone like D.K. Mwai from Gatanga in Central Province, he cut out a disc those many years ago. Let me not mention those years because I'll be revealing my age. It was called I Love You, and it was top. It was a top hit in Nyanza at that time. In the jukeboxes of that time, we didn't have what we have today.
Top of the pops.
Yes, exactly.
That's
and
what
yet, oh yeah.
Wow.
And yet, the two communities of Central Kenya and Nyanza had some kind of acrimony between them as regards politics.
Yeah.
But that was accepted. Fast forward to many years later on, the songstress Susanna Weo came up with this song Kisumu 100, and it was grasped all over Central Kenya. So this can only mean that music will transcend boundaries, and so on. So it's the best tool of communication when it comes to when one wants to spread the message of peace. Yes.
Okay. So now you've come together with, obviously, the people that you've come together with to produce this song are not politicians. Who are they, and why is it important that those who have produced this song then are the torchbearers of this message?
Yes.
And who?
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
And who is the message for?
Obviously Kenyans, and it cuts quite across from the politicians to the voters themselves and anybody in between, even those who consider themselves apolitical. I'm going to stay home and do nothing,
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they do contribute something to that electioneering process. We sat down and told ourselves, why not? Why not? I'm very sure that a couple of other people will come up with their own compositions on the same. But we said, okay, why don't we do this? And we sought some support. And this support we got from the German embassy, the cultural section. So we came together, sat down, said, okay, fine, okay, why don't we put out this song? We cannot really pinpoint one composer as such because we've got 4 rappers on it. And a beautiful chorus put together by the likes of the Ketable chief, Tabo Susa, and the singer Winyo.
Yeah. Is this what I hear people referring to as a collabo?
Well, you might want to call it that, but it strictly isn't really that.
What is a collabo?
No, a collabo is when there are necessarily actually two kind of relatively successful artists. Yeah, with their own audiences. With their own following. Then they decide, okay, let's just get together.
So now, so is this in the league of We Are the World?
I may say so.
So what is the one word you'd use to describe We Are the World? Because it's clearly, is that also a collabo? Because the people who sang in the We Are the World, man, those are some really big names.
Those are about 30 people also. No, that's uniting for a cause.
Isn't this the same thing?
Yes.
You uniting for a cause?
Exactly so. I'm not running away from that. We have united for a cause.
Yeah.
So the 4 artists that we are using, if we had the resources, we'll have used 25. Also, like We Are the World. But in this case, we've got 4. So that's they've come together. They've united to promote this message as it is. You cannot really have a collabo with a crowd. a crowd of musicians on stage. And the course here, obviously, is very clear. It's of concern to us. You know, musicians are people who get messages out. Very, very serious messages.
They do.
Yes, it is. And sorry to say, if they turn wild, they can actually do the opposite of what we are doing right now.
That is also true.
And mess up things. It has happened here. It has happened in many other countries where somebody will come out with... So obviously, they won't say that, go to war, let's fight, or something like that. But they may have messages, underlying messages, tacit messages.
Like Bob Marley.
No, for Bob Marley, everything, all his content was positive. Really.
Well, I mean, if I mean, there've been
even
books.
the change messages were positive.
Sure.
Yeah, you see, one may choose to interpret a song in their own way, and if a musician is calling you out to the streets, you may go out to the streets and picket, you know, very, very peacefully and so on. But you may also choose to come out with stones.
This is true. I hear what you're saying, Maddo,
Yes.
and I'm thinking of wars that have been fought. I mean, just hear me out here as I try to open this up a bit. Wars that have been fought. And we heard about the drums of war.
Yeah.
Books have been written about such a thing. Experiences have been retold. And I remember stories that my mother would tell me about the Biafran War and how they had to cross over from one part of the country to the next when they were in school to run away from the war. But the thing was that there were certain sounds that they would hear, and it was a rallying call to people to come out and fight.
Yes.
It was music.
Yes.
It was not supposed to be something pleasant, but it was a rallying call around a particular idea. Can you translate the same thing when we talk about music then for peace? That once you hear it, it is a rallying call for you to remember the things that had happened before that were unpleasant, and then now try to push for peace, regardless of what the situation is. That the drums of war can also be now this melody of peace.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. In fact, let's start with the drums of war. Why do we call it the drums of war? Because drums have been used to pass messages over centuries, and the intensity of hitting them may illustrate that message. So you can imagine a slower pace in a drum beat, which might be a lot more relaxing than vigorous playing of the same. So in fact, let me just quickly say that messages can also be transmitted through instrumental music, even without lyrics, where, for example, there's music, music created by people like Chopin and all the other guys from Vienna and around.
Handel. And
Yeah.
so on.
Oh yes. Yeah. Mozart and so on. Today you see it on YouTube labeled music for thinking, music for working, music for relaxing and
Meditation.
so on. Meditation and so on. This is because there's that message within that music without these people actually doing any lyrics. It's just the harps, the violins, the cellos, and everything else that they use at the time. So that alone shall set the pace of what the composer once taken out there. Now, music has been used, for example, in the military this is long before radio devices and so on. Music was used on the large battlefield to signal either let's surge forth or let's retreat. And it was used by a beagle. This thing that looks like a
trumpet.
This
Yes,
small,
a trumpet.
this
Yes,
small
yeah.
thingamajig that looks like.
And indeed, that was translated into today's military kind of practices. Pam param parararara, that kind of thing.
They even had drummers, remember?
Yes, exactly so. Those many centuries ago, because they didn't have megaphones, they didn't have radio communication, that was used to communicate across vast expanses of land. Yeah, so you had that beagle call, and you knew that the division chief, or whatever you call them, is instructing us to do this or that. Similarly, in music today, I can actually compose a nice, relaxing and soothing kind of sound, and one will know that my mind is at peace, and I want yours to be at peace as well. Yeah, without lyrics. But if you fit in lyrics, then you're now intensifying the message as it is. Yeah.
Kenya ni Yangu.
Yes.
I mean, it's obviously the message. It's our country. Have to do everything that we can to. Why is that the message that was picked? Why specifically that? Why not, protect our borders? Why not, something else? Why that?
Right now the threat is from within, so it's not from without. So this is where we are focusing. Kenya ni Yangu, from that title, that Kenya is mine. We are trying to reinforce, instill that thinking into the Kenyan, to have this sense of ownership.
Right.
Yeah, ownership of the country, to be part of it. It's mine. If it gets messed up, I lose. I and my family, my community, and everybody else. So it's actually designed to emphasize that it is mine, I, you, and somebody else, all of us. And if we take care of it, then and nothing goes wrong, then we are okay. We slip into August 10th, 11th, 12th without a scratch, then we are absolutely doing fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are many who are going to ask the question, though,
Yes.
Maddo, that in 2007, I believed firmly that Kenya was mine. And then all these things happened, and people are still recovering from the wounds of that madness until today. And I'm thinking, I'm in a helpless place. What am I going to do? Yes, I believe Kenya is mine. I'm patriotic. I have nationalist values, etc., but can I really do anything? So what, in as much as that is the message, what is the call? What are Kenyans actually supposed to do to protect the country if the threat's from within? What are Kenyans supposed to do? I go vote, I go home, or
I've done my bit. I have voted.
That's it.
and I am I pay my taxes, even if I am.
I've done my
I've
bit.
done my part. What more should I do to ensure this situation of peace and security during an election period when I really am not in the throes of the drama?
Yes. There's always the trickiness of a nation. Yeah, and I happen to listen to you guys when you're speaking to my good friend Barack. A nation to me is a region with defined boundaries, and within it there can be several types of people, communities, and so on. A country like Kenya happens to have diverse cultures, diverse tribes within it. That's always a very tricky kind of scenario when it comes to running a nation and rallying these people together. To us, obviously, music can do the trick. As I've said earlier, that since it transcends borders, it can be used. Back in 2007, obviously, with our naughtiness and our bad behavior, we might not remember right now, but there were songs running down to the elections that called for, crazy things. Oh, yes. They might not have been doing it openly. But, musicians can be tricky, just like poets and so on. That messages can be subtle, can be hidden.
It's called dog whistle communication.
Yes, exactly.
If it's for a community, the community listening to it will know exactly what is being said.
Yes.
Just
But
like that whistle that nobody else will hear, but the dog will hear
Yes.
it. It knows what it ought to do, right?
Oh, yes, yeah, exactly so. So, in fact, most of such songs are designed to my people, So I'll sing in my language, and I'll use those messages, those hidden messages that we have. So another community listening to this song may not really know that these guys are calling for some kind of war or something, or rejection of election results and so on. And that happened in 2007. Obviously, we shall not mention those titles, excuse me, because that will be bringing those guys back, as it is. Thereafter, rather, when our misbehavior was going on, almost all radio stations and TV stations dashed to their libraries and retrieved that song by Eric Wainaina.
Yeah.
What's the title again?
Daima.
Yeah, Daima, Kenya Daima. And that song played for several days.
It did.
Yes. Why were we doing so? Why was it just a common song before the elections? We were hardly noticing it. Yes, it was a hit, but it was, Eric has got a very good song, Daima, Kenya Daima. And we didn't think much of it thereafter until those clashes broke out. And I tend to believe that that song helped a lot. Even people who are kind of fighting against his community, that song got to them. It got to their heart. It got into their minds, and probably they changed their thinking a little as it is.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Nduoko CT Muga with you. Eric off today, but the conversations continue. We've been in the studio with Paul Kelemba Maddo today, and we're talking about a different kind of message that you're spreading with the production of this new song and the music, and why it's important to do it in this manner. Maddo, what can people latch on to? Usually when there's something that you've lost, which a lot of people did with the violence that we saw in 2007, 2008, and then with the further uncertainty in maybe the next year with the whole overturning of the election results and all of this, and then going to the Supreme Court, and then there's uncertainty. What in this year with this message can people latch on to and run with and say, look, you know what, it can be different, and we can now go with that and move forward?
Yes, to me, that will be hope. Yeah, hope is very important, all the way from the individual to all of us collectively as a nation. Hope is crucial. It's key to a nation's prosperity and good future. And if that feeling, if that sense is widespread throughout the population, then in my view, things will turn out to be better. Even if there's disappointment after the elections, and we are likely going to have that. There are winners and losers. So if the losing side had this kind of hope that, okay, maybe in 5 years' time, we'll re-emerge and be victorious. But we really don't think that way as this nation. We are like, I have to win right now, or not, or never, that kind of thing. Win. Yes, and that's very dangerous kind of thinking. It's a bomb. But if we instill patience within our national thinking, and also grasp and latch onto that thing called hope, then we're all right as a nation. In fact, now that means running away from being selfish, so that each individual broadens their thinking. That I'm not going to be annoyed and call on my neighbor, my friends, my family, and so on. That let's create a mess because we don't like the outcome of certain aspects of the poll. But if we have that patience, then things should be different. As I'm saying, there's only one way, or a couple of ways that can be instilled within us. That is obviously the leaders themselves repeatedly calling on the population that guys, let's think this way. In fact, way in advance, a politician should actually be ready to concede and say so publicly, but we hardly do so. We are just like, if I lose, you know what happened,
right.
That kind of thing, and that's and we are already hearing lines like that, which obviously are not the best in this kind of volatile situation. The other ways are obviously, as we are saying, through messages of peace, whether in writing, visuals, or music. Yeah.
Paul, which specific audience would you say you are targeting with this song?
Hopefully, we want as wide as possible an audience as it is. But we know, obviously, that this country, we in the music business, in this country, is very, very difficult, and indeed elsewhere today, to purport to capture almost everybody. There are songs that, yes.
Let me ask
Yeah.
you see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
The Collabo has 4 of these artists, okay?
Yes.
Now, the people who resonate, there are people who resonate nationally,
Yes.
but a lot of our music resonates in vernacular.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm still at the We Are the World thing,
Yes.
okay? Funding permitting and vision permitting. What stops you from trying to, I'm going to stick with this word collabo even if it doesn't fit in here.
You like
Okay,
it?
for
Yeah.
our purposes, let's
It's
go
good for
ahead.
it rolls easy on my tongue.
Sure.
There are people whose music resonates in other communities, and we are communities that form Kenya. What stops you from thinking of a get-together collabo, which brings people who you know resonate in their communities to sing this very same song? Because people will hear it. What stops you from them singing this very same thing in their language that their people can hear? What stops them? But it is one song. I keep thinking of We Are the World and the various artists who came together.
Only that it was entirely in English.
It was in English, but you see, the person I remember the most is Rod Stewart.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I liked his music. I like his raspy voice.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all I'm saying is, I've seen something that works and attracts the large diversity of
Yes.
humanity.
Yeah.
Now, this large diversity of Kenyan humanity
How do you capture it?
is how do you capture it? And capture it in a way that you know we've got them.
The city, you're right. As we were saying, it's tricky to capture a very large audience through music. Though music, again, the way we consume a lot of Congolese music here without even understanding what they're talking about.
We don't even care what it means.
Yes,
Don't
exactly.
even-
So language might not be that important in this case of just listening or dancing to music.
It's been said music is the universal language, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
uh-huh.
In fact, with songs like those ones, I always say that that voice you're listening to also now takes up the role of one of the instruments because you can't understand what the guy is singing about, then it becomes one of whatever. But now, City, yes, I agree with you. That's a lovely idea, and we've still got a couple of months. Probably us as Ketable Studio may come up with that kind of whatever if we get the resources in time. Obviously, now our collabo artists, yeah, okay,
You're going to have to go with that
No,
one.
no.
Because
No.
this man
Yeah.
is not going to. It's collabo.
No, I've tried to change it to collective effort. Okay, it doesn't sound sexy, collective effort. Collabo does, yeah. But still, okay, a collective effort of, let's say, even up to 15 artists, for example,
Right.
singing various languages, including the principal ones. Yes, this would be it would be grand.
Beautiful.
The next thing, obviously, it's the language they're singing in, the message that they're singing in. Then now, how do you do the instrumentation? Because, like in our song right now, we have 4 rappers, as I said. There's some people who might not really be huge fans of rap, especially probably maybe older folks. But I shouldn't really say older folks. I was listening to rap back in 1979, Rapper's Delight, and
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, I'm still okay with rap at my age today. So that's not really the problem, and everybody's doing it anyway. And if you notice, rap today, there are normally sections within that song that will be sung out. If I'll say as usual, naturally, before the rap artist comes in, that kind of thing. So there's a nice, lovely kind of whatever.
Before your hook.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Now, this kind of collective effort will actually make it, and it's been done before. There's Musaimo, a musician from Central Kenya, who came up with a song such as the one that you're suggesting, not really for peace, but I think it was love. And he had all the languages there. Watching him live with that, I think they were called Mbiri stars. Watching them live was absolute fun. The Maasai there, the Luo, the Mugiriama there. It was beautifully done. So this is possible, and obviously it will go even further. But that is not to say that our track ain't going nowhere.
No,
There you go.
Yeah.
it isn't. In fact, do you want to go for a break? Endo?
No.
Oh, good. You see, consider,
Yes.
okay, how you can actually put this out.
Yes.
You see, yes, radio, very good. But where else do people congregate in large numbers where such a song would have an impact?
Yeah, besides airplay and whatever.
Forget that
Yes,
one, yes.
yeah.
Where you have a captive
yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Because the song doesn't last an hour. It lasts
the
a few
largest
minutes.
audiences in this country are either religious or political. Yeah. Followed by music. Actually, music comes number 3.
Yes.
Oh, yes. It does.
Yes, it does.
Sorry to say. Religious congregations have always had these kind of loyal audiences over the years, those congregants. Politicians challenge that. I'm talking about
They
numbers.
challenge it very seriously.
Yes, I'm talking
in
about
this country,
numbers.
politics is actually a religion.
Yes, in fact, for religious institutions, it takes 6 days to call out for those people. Come for this happening.
this thing happening next week, Saturday.
Or on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. But politicians, it just takes...
At 1 o'clock, we are
just
having
breaking their SUV
Yeah.
or some roadside somewhere. Then all of a sudden, they've got quite an audience. Actually, religious leaders...
See, Paul,
yeah.
you've got it.
Yeah.
Now, think
Yeah.
about it.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Good.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. So obviously, we're on that road because we tend to go back and think about how the duo of Unbogable did at that time. Yeah, their song, as much as it wasn't really calling for peace or supporting any political party, the beat and just its
Rhetoric.
yes, exactly. Yeah, was snapped up by some political side and used intensively, and
It worked.
yes, it worked. Even if it did 3%, 3% is quite a large reckoning when it comes to vote gathering. So we would want to avail the song because this is not commercial, of course not. Yeah, especially from the support that we got. The song is already available online. Kenya ni Yangu. We would want to distribute it to political parties. Yeah, and tell them, look, do find time. The song is 6 minutes long, but do find time to. Within 2 or 3 minutes, this song actually has its message out. Yeah, it's not something that you have to listen to like Franco for 15 minutes.
And the chorus is singable.
Yes, it's chantable. The crowd can, but it's a nice melody. It's lovely. It attracts you. It wants you to join it.
I'm gonna want you to sing that at some point.
Yes, Kenya ni Yangu. Very nice, by the way. Also,
You tell me.
Yeah.
Think of political rallies
yes,
when people keeps creating these chants, and instead you preface it with a chant of that song.
of the song.
It's something that will go across political parties.
Powerful in
Yes,
terms of what
yeah.
could happen.
Yes.
though the other trouble in this country is that if it's snapped up by one political side,
It's going to be used against
that's
the
it.
other.
Yeah, but they're not
It
going to
will-
patent it, are they?
No, I'm saying that it will now kind of exclusively be used by that side. Well, the other side may want to shun it as now that song and that melody.
Is that not their loss?
That's the thing, and hopefully so. Excuse me. In fact, if Kenyans were to widely embrace this song, and it has been snapped up by one wing of the two major forces in politics today, then yes, it will be quite some triumph for the guys who take it up.
You see, the beauty of the situation we have right now is all this coalition building and this plethora of small parties. Don't leave them out of this equation. These big parties tend to have big heads as well. So you want people who see, understand. They also have their crowds.
That's a good point.
Yes, obviously, when one has their sights out to do something, you may target 100%, but you tell yourself 70% is good enough. So we want to go out there. We want to also target regions, various groups or whatever it is, in the ways that we can, with the support of our partners. To spread the message as far as possible. We cannot just sit back and put it on YouTube and say, okay, we've done our part. Obviously not. We're going to try as much as possible to see that it reaches audiences out there. I've mentioned before that this country and its reception of music may not be as easy as, let's say, pop star in the UK. who might go out into the villages in Scotland and so on, far away from London. Here, you may have to think about that guy in Pokot and how receptive that person may be to our song and its message, and how this person is going to receive that particular song. And is it really their kind of song? Is this something that they're going to sit down and enjoy? So the much that we can do, yes, we shall do. If it is to, obviously we cannot afford road shows, and that's why we are hoping that probably the song can get onto the bandwagon of these coalitions as they take shape. But we, on our own part at Credible Music and our partners, we shall do as much as possible to make sure that the seeds of this song are sown within the right farms, and as many as possible.
What undoubtedly is true, Paul, is the impact that music can have. But what is equally important is how you plan to ensure that it achieves the purpose for which it is intended. Because, when you're talking of music, my mind has actually been traveling to songs that I've heard since I was a child, and some which I still remember to date.
Yes.
Okay? But the thing that strikes me the most, nursery rhymes that I learned, they have stuck. All these years later, I still remember them. And part of the reason was, I hadn't heard very many nursery rhymes, so some of the first things I actually ever internalized. But there was a rhyme, that's why they were called nursery, there were rhymes to it. And then the song that I later heard, it wasn't, the key ingredient in all these things was the repetition of them.
Sure.
I heard them often over a long period of time, so they were more or less etched.
Yes.
So my question is, when you make these plans, this plan to ensure that you saturate the output of this song so that it's something that, like these ads that you hear, it's all, every few minutes on your radio. Before you know it, you will actually be singing it along with them.
Right.
And it's actually a little louder than the regular broadcast.
Yes.
Yeah, it's designed to do so. Yes. Actually, just quickly about those nursery rhymes, those are your formative years.
Yes.
So your brain was largely empty.
Blank canvas.
Yeah, so it needed to be filled. As one grows older, you're grappling with so much information coming into you that you're absorbing. So we tend to filter out whatever what is not we perceive as not relevant to us. So it's very important to come up with a very good melody in order for it to be ingrained in somebody's mind. And the repeated playtime, of course. Now, the advantage of those many years ago was fewer media outlets.
There are a few things competing for attention.
Where, for example, there are people who are not great fans of the ruling party, KANU, at the time. But there was only one or two radio channels, and they were playing Nyayo. So whether you liked it or not, you
were going to hear it.
Yes, you started actually miming the song as this song, before you stopped yourself and said, damn.
What am I doing?
Oh, yes, yeah. So today it's more of an uphill task because of, again, Africa is losing a large young audience to mediums that present just a couple of minutes or several seconds of whatever it is, and they move on. Their attention span is very limited and so on. And this is what we try to break. Once you have a very good composition, well thought out, well arranged and put out there, actually people do get onto it. You may not actually notice that so many songs that are produced weekly that we don't hear about because they don't make the cut. They don't get there. Nobody wants them.
Yeah.
Within 3 or 4 or 5 days, the singer and his or her producer know that we didn't make it, and they move on to do something else because it's very easy to produce music today.
Sure.
It's rather easier than in the past.
Where can we find this, Paul? Even going forward, where will we be able to listen to this, hear it? How can Kenyans then get a hold of it?
We are working out on, it was just launched 10 days ago, or 10 or so days ago. So we are working out on the channels. As we are saying, we want to get it out to cover as great audiences as we can. But right now it's available on YouTube and it's shareable. As I said, it's all commercial, so there's nothing attached to it.
Yeah.
So what we are grappling with right now is just to make the general population be aware that this song
Exists.
Yes. And right now it's available online. But beyond that, we want to take it out ourselves physically so that it's felt. But we're trying to chart that out.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Maddo, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us, and obviously great things that are happening here.
I should mention who's behind this.
Please do.
Yes. They'll kill me. There's a lady rapper, MC Sharon. Sharon, she's well known in the circles.
Yeah.
We have, I mentioned Winyo. There's also Fundi Frank, who's, one of the premier rap artists in this country. A very good dude. And Mandela. Mandela was formerly with the Sarabi. He's now based in Dar es Salaam. And behind that, there's quite a large technical crew that we can't really go into. But those are the principal frontline artists.
And of course, yourself. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to hearing it. And hopefully the message definitely will permeate across Kenya.